So I want you guys to watch this film, take it all in, and be ready to have a deep discussion in about an hour and a half. Thank you. Welcome to our first webisode conversation for the Movie Club. We'll be discussing Pariah. The Movie Club has been going on for about 2 years. The purpose of the Movie Club is to talk about thought-provoking movies and then give intellectual feedback on independent films as well as mainstream media. I'll go around the room and we'll introduce our panel. I'm Rhonda Smith. I'm the host of the webisode.
I'm Steve. I'm not the host.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm Rhonda's sister, and I am Skyping in from Washington, D.C.
Janine Sanders.
Chris Dowers.
Sean.
Edward Darby.
Tanisha Marshall. Mariana Boone. Tamiko.
Eric Wilson.
Joanna.
Judy. All right, so first question. What were your initial perceptions of the movie before seeing it? And then what were your thoughts after viewing it?
I liked that the movie was just that it was a movie and it told a story and it kept me engaged, and I'm glad I watched it. I think it was very well written and well acted, and I liked the story.
I had an idea of what it was going to be about, but they had a whole lot of stuff going on. So I think that it had a lot of interesting twists and turns, and I'm clear. We could talk 4 or 5 hours on all those angles, but that's no use. But it was a lot going on.
So why do you feel her mother was so overprotective? Do you think it's just because she was in some type of denial?
Denial, and I think religion had a lot to do with it as well.
I didn't see one part in the movie where they even touched hands, hugged, anything.
Yeah, she was in denial through the whole thing. I felt, the part where she opened up the refrigerator and started, she had all those plates up there. She kept making his meals. And I think she was finally coming to realize that this is what it is, and she was throwing that, food away. Then when she took that sweater that was the daughter's, that she bought for the daughter and put it in there, I think she didn't want to believe it, but I think she was accepting it. She wasn't happy with it.
I think she represented some viewpoints of some women. I want to get married by a certain time, I want to have a certain order. So she was looking at things from an order perspective and what makes a happy situation. Because the argument she got in with her husband, you can tell he still has some bitterness with her just about his life direction. And she made a comment, well, you couldn't even pass the test, it wasn't for me. So whatever his goals were, be it since he was playing basketball with his daughter, I'm assuming he may have been a basketball star at one point or athlete, and it didn't go that way. She got her first baby, which is the oldest daughter. So now he's trying to play house. But to her perfect house is, what if your father gets home? So we're gonna go to church together. I'm gonna make these plates. I'm gonna do so. She had this picture perfect view of what family or a nice family was.
It felt to me like she was unhappy and didn't have a lot of control over her husband, over her daughter, over different aspects of her life, and it seemed that she really strived to maintain this rigidity. It appeared to me that she had an idea of how you behave and what's acceptable communication and interaction at work, and that only one person in her work environment met that idea for her.
This is what I perceive like her work interaction to be, is that they really didn't include her either. And I just wondered while watching the movie if they had been a little bit more welcoming to her, like if she would have received it. Because when she stepped into the room, like I saw her look at the other two at the table across and try to make some kind of eye contact with them, and they, ignored it.
I felt like in the work scene that she was trying to be private and didn't want people knowing her personal business and didn't want to, she really was kind of shutting everyone off. So that's probably why they kind of figured she acts funny, she doesn't talk to anyone. She was really just like, I'm coming here to work, I'm not trying to make friends. That's the impression that I got from
think of two things. I think she knew the women that were there talking. I think she knew that they knew her daughter was gay.
Yeah.
You know, so I think she's trying to avoid, you know, that conversation with them.
The definition of pariah based on when they had the trailer, it said a person without status, a rejected member of society. So obviously we know that was her daughter, Alike, but I felt like her in that scene, she was a social outcast at work. They didn't want to include her, so she goes there looking at her like, please. And so I felt like she also had some form of rejection or felt like a social outcast.
The daughter had the outlet of the teacher. She had the outlet of her friends and going out. And I guess the mom's outlet could have been her friend at work, but she was so guarded and caught up in what was going on that she, you know, messed herself up because she never learned how to enjoy life and communicate with other people.
One thing I just noticed, so, you know, as I watched the movie and we learned about Alike, that she was a very intelligent young lady, she was very smart. And so outside of the obvious of the commonality she had with, you know, that circle, I felt like, you know, she was downgraded. Like that wasn't the crowd she should have been with.
I think the movie showed that a person isn't one thing. You know, just because you are lesbian, there's not a whole kit that comes with that. So you could be lesbian, and not particularly like some of these other things that are supposed to be stereotypically lesbian. You can be a black person and not like all these things that are stereotypically black. The person isn't just one thing. You could like this indie alternative music and still be black, for instance. And I face that a lot. You know, I'm a guy who likes to read. And I think we've had discussions about people who are surprised by that. What? You like to read? What kind of black person are you? Of course, they have this image, this caricature of what it is to be a black male. So she was in the caricature of what it is to be a lesbian. And she's many things. So I don't think she's downgraded. She's kind of...
I think she struggled with that too because she was never comfortable in the club setting. She was only really comfortable in the environment where she was one-on-one with her friend and then that new one.
I think she was trying to find where she fit in. I'm sure she felt more comfortable with those people that had the alternative lifestyle because that was something that she identified, but she definitely couldn't get along at the home. There was just a lot going on there. I think she was just trying to find herself. She was just with them for the time being. That's the impression that I got. That's, you know, that's where she was for the time being, but there's more for her and more out there. By introducing that other young lady, the character's daughter, that let us see that she had other things that she was interested in, different types of music. And so
Connected different ways. She connected with different people different ways.
What I thought was really interesting about her and her friends and her clothes and how she dressed and all that was that, you know, she had this idea of wanting to be a butch lesbian, wanting to wear the fake penis, wanting to dress like a boy. But then in her interactions with her peers that she was closest to, she really was the more emotional person in the relationship. She was the more submissive, the more needy. I thought it added to the conflict of her life because here she is portraying this image of even the one girl that she liked at school was like, well, if she just bushed up a little more, you know, like she's in the middle. And I think she really was in the middle. It was like she wanted to be a lesbian, but she thought she had to be a butch lesbian in order to be a lesbian.
Here's what I say on a simple level. Okay, first and foremost, what old girl was to the Bush girl, she was able to accept her for just who she was. You know, so it doesn't matter, you know, it's like speaking what you're saying, male, female, whoever your friends are, anybody who can appreciate you just whether it's broken or not, green or not, just have appreciation. That's why who she was for her was just that. So regardless of what it is, that's what she was.
Do you think that lesbian women who portray this masculine role, are they comfortable in their own skin or do they have some type of identity issue? When I'm looking at it and I'm seeing them going to go and they're going to go get a strap on, but the girl who is confident in being a masculine lesbian, she's embarrassed to go and get the strap on, she's embarrassed to take it back. But why? This is what you want to be, this is what you're portraying. Well, I'm just putting it out there though, but is there some type of identity issue? Or are they really comfortable in their own skin?
So for the girls to bring attraction to other girls, that butch side has to be there.
But that's not the case in the movie. If you look at her relationship with Bina, the other young lady, she's not butch at all. And
Right.
if you were looking at them on the street, they were both walking down the street, you would not think one of them was butch and one of them was another way.
Well,
You would just see two girls
No, she has
going
one.
to an alternative party.
I feel like this is great discussion, but I feel like some of the terminology I don't think we're like capturing exactly.
Okay.
I feel like there is a difference between being butch and portraying a masculine personality in terms of like how you dress, how you carry yourself, how you feel about yourself. If you feel masculine versus being dominant. Because there's a difference between the two.
That I feel like she was dressed as masculine because that's she felt like, she knew that she was a lesbian.
Right.
But in what she saw, as far as the women, they dressed masculine. So that's how she could relate to them. But I feel like
Correct.
who she thought she was, who she
Right.
was when she wanted to be herself.
Right.
And she wasn't necessarily wanting to be masculine. She was, she was dressing down, dressing with a scarf, dressing more feminine, even though she knew she still was a lesbian, but I don't think she really felt like she wanted to be masculine, but that's how she felt she could relate to what she felt inside, is that she had to look like this on an outward appearance.
I think for her, one of the elements that allowed her to be defiant, changing her clothes every day at school.
They do it because they are being defiant yet submissive at the same time. So I don't want to go home and argue with my mother. So I am changing back my clothes. But I'm still being defiant because when I get to school, I'm changing that outfit and I'm doing what I want to do. It is a form of defiance, but yet at the same time, it's submissiveness because I still respect my household.
So
When she goes to speak to her mother, you see that very clearly. She still has a level of respect for her because
Right.
this is my mother. But she tells her father, I'm not running away from you, I'm choosing. Because she has finally gotten to the point where she's no longer worried about being defiant nor submissive. She's saying, this is who I am and this is the way I'm choosing to live my life.
So I want to kind of talk about the father, right? So I want to talk about his relationship with the daughter, right? So obviously he was in complete denial of his daughter, but I feel like he had the closer relationship with Alike and the youngest daughter, but he was the one in the most denial because the mother, even though she was being overprotective and in somewhat of denial, she knew what her, who her daughter was. She just didn't want to accept it. But he didn't seem like he even initially wanted to accept it. So I just kind of want to talk about why did you think that was?
just kind of what we saw in terms of denial was a central theme in the movie. When you become a parent, I think you have this vision of how you imagine your children will be, and that was in opposition to their vision, which causes conflict.
I don't necessarily think he was in denial, but I think that anything to go against his wife, that's the impression that I get. It's like they kept that conflict going. I think he knew, but because the wife was just putting it out there, this is what it is, this is what it is. I just don't think he wanted to agree with her personally.
Like, what scenes or what did you like best about the movie? And I also just wanted to ask, in the end, when you saw the mother, she was throwing away all the food out of the refrigerator and throwing away the new blouse. What do you think that represented in her life?
She was just washing her hands of the situation.
So when she threw it in the trash can, along with the pink blouse or whatever it was on top, she had to say, it is what it is.
So I think I would agree with you. I think the dynamic there was that she definitely was like finally like, okay, everything has hit the fan. This is my reality. But I think in those last couple of scenes, those to me were the most, for me, they were the most poignant because, one, when the mother can't say I love you back to her daughter, that's a big deal to me. I think that's how I envision love. I don't envision it based on lifestyles and circumstances. I mess up all the time and they still love me. So I can't imagine a mom looking at their child and not being able to say I love you.
This might just be the youth and lack of maturity on my part, and I grew up with John Hughes and Boys in the Hood and Men's Society. I'm like, okay, so where's the drama? I'm expecting this girl to lose it, want to jump off a cliff. Mom, rushing to say that she loves her or say goodbye to her, but the bus pulls off. It was just kind of anticlimactic to me. But the things that you brought up, yes, there were a lot of imagery, a lot of powerful messages that a person like me has to, you have to bring that out to me because I'm just sitting there even at the club when she said, "Get me a strap." I'm thinking she's gonna prove that she's butch and walk in there with a gun and just let off.
Something to me that was very powerful was the concept of her when she quote unquote declared and she decided to I forgot the word she used. She chose something or something, but I chose. So now I've, lack of better word, declared. I've come to myself. Now I'm going forward. So now this is my confidence. This is who. Whereas before I was, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do now. Boom.
Okay, so I like the movie for the fact that it had good character development. I don't think I wasn't necessarily looking for a plot, but I just think it told the full story. So a lot of times you look at a film and it starts talking about one thing and then it just kind of ends and you're like, well, dang. I feel like it kind of told the full story for all of the characters.
The director talked about how she dealt with these similar type of things in her life, so it was kind of like a story of, you know, the trials and tribulations that she went through. So overall, I thought it was a good movie, and I would tell other people to watch it as well.
Well, I want to thank you guys for participating in my first webisode with the Movie Club.
I like this better than the book club.
And thank you for joining us via Skype from Washington, D.C., and hopefully we'll have more people join us Skype in the future. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.